My name is Dave Holloway, Product Manager here at Sunstone Engineering, and I'm going to demonstrate real quickly how to set up your MWH2 parallel weld head. The same steps will apply to the MWH1 opposed weld head. The number one thing to keep in mind when using this new weld head and when setting it up is your gap distance from your electrodes to your piece that you're working with. That will correlate with this slide plate here on the front of the weld head. So, to make sure you've got it set up appropriately, what we're going to do is measure the distance between the piece that you're working on. In this place, I'm just going to use the flat plate and the bottom of the electrodes. I've got here a steel block. I will show that it is a 1/8 inch gap, approximately. So what I'm going to do is set that under my electrodes, and I'm going to drop the electrodes down. Right there, they're just barely touching, so I have no compression on there. I can slide that in and out. Now, since I have an 1/8 inch gap here, I need to set the slide plate to a 1/8 inch gap, or 0.125 on the plate here. Now, with the side plate in the correct position, correlating with the gap here, I will use these tick marks to determine the force pressure that I have between the electrodes and the piece. You can back them out to the first tick mark. That would correlate to approximately 3 pounds of force on the parallel weld head. If I bring that down, it's approximately 3 pounds of force. As I progressively turn these down, I'm creating more pressure because I'm allowing more stroke with the electrodes. Putting these in about the middle, this is on the 5th tick mark down. I've got much more pressure on that one, probably in the range of 22 pounds. Now, let's say I'm going to do a new part and I require a 1/2 inch gap in order to operate and get in here to make adjustments. What I'll do is I'll have to change the height of the weld head, raise it up, and to help me set my gap distance, I'm going to grab a few more of these 1/8 inch blocks. So I'll stack these up. Again, I don't have a base plate, a substrate that I'm working on. I'm just going off of the base of the weld head. But this is my 1/2 inch gap. I'm going to lower that weld head down to rest on there. 1/2 inch gap. Now I've got a 1/2 inch gap between my electrodes and my base plate, or this would be your workpiece. What we need to do is anytime we change the height of the gap, we need to change the slide plate. So I'll bring that down to the 1/2 inch mark. And now I have to readjust my force springs too. In order to get that same 3 pounds of force on that first tick mark, you line these up at the first tick mark, that would be approximately 3 pounds. Let's go back to that 5th tick mark like we were doing in the first demo. There's the 5th tick mark. Approximately that's going to be about 22 pounds or so. Right, there's my 22 pounds of force. And once you have the slide plate in the right position according to the gap here, you can use these tick marks to get that true linear force setting that you're looking for to dial it in. And then lastly, once you have the appropriate force selected by aligning these up with the tick marks, it's always recommended to tighten down these nuts here so that your pressure maintains.